A potentially catastrophic situation unfolding in Florida as Hurricane Idalia barrels toward the state. The storm has now intensified into a Category 4, and it could make landfall in the coming hours.
Hurricane is expected to bring storm surge of up to 15 feet, destructive 130-mile-per-hour winds, as well as heavy rain and widespread flooding.
Good morning to you. I'm Chris Shaw.
And I'm Megan Henderson. We're going to go right to Kirk Hawkins. He's in for Henry today. He is tracking this hurricane as it approaches Florida.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's now a Category 4. We're watching for it to make landfall in Florida's Big Bend area, which is an area between the Panhandle and the greater Tampa area. The big concerns, as we mentioned, that we're tracking this morning, the storm surge and the wind gusts well above 100 miles per hour. Here we are right now. It's registering as a Category 3, but there's been a trend with hurricanes as of late along the Gulf Coast and portions of the Atlantic where it rapidly intensifies as it makes landfall. So as we put this in motion, you can see this is where the situation is expected to certainly be a story. In fact, the National Hurricane Center in the Atlantic area has reported some data back from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft just overnight, within the last 2 hours or so, where the winds have been upwards of 130 miles per hour. Within the past few hours, those winds are rapidly intensifying. We're continuing to track this pathway here. As you can see, as it works its way through that Big Bend area of essentially the Florida Panhandle and the Tampa area, it'll eventually make landfall, and then its track takes us through portions of South Carolina as well, but that's in the days ahead. The most concerning factor, as you mentioned, the storm surge, the wind, and we'll have updates on this for you throughout the morning. But now let's talk about your forecast here at home at 4:02 this morning as we take a live look. Today could be one of the cooler days of the week. In fact, slight cooling today, continuing Thursday as well. Some locations, particularly along the coast and the valleys, but more interior areas and mountain areas, temperatures might actually be a little bit warmer for today. 105 in the San Fernando Valley, 105 in the Inland Empire. High Desert, we're looking at a high of 104. Much more details on your forecast here at home and the hurricane coming up. For now, though, Ginger, back to you.
It's such an interesting juxtaposition because you're people in Florida and you feel so bad for them. I mean, we complain about the heat, and at least now we get a cool down. So we'll be watching all of that for everybody. We have a situation along that 60, so it's the eastbound side of the 15. The thing is, the driver ended up in the center divider, which is good news for anybody traveling the stretch of the 60. Can get busy as you approach the 15, but they are saying there's guardrail damage. So remember, it's a situation where if that guardrail damage is an immediate hazard, they may have to shut down a lane. They may have to repair it, shutting down additional lanes. If it's not, then they'll wait until later on when they can do it, and it's not a big deal for anybody, right? We'll take you over so we'll wait to see the assessment. 405 freeway, both directions, and they will continue to keep those lanes closed. Brookers to Euclid till 5. It is a short stretch. With the lanes being closed, it is a real headache for people. So you really have to follow the signs, take those detours for your plans along the stretch of the 405. And I believe farther to the north, there's some other work, but that one is not a full closure. We'll keep our eyes on all these things. I'll send it back to you.
Breaking news in Orange County. Authorities have made an arrest after an hours-long standoff outside of a shopping center.
Ktla Dt.'s Carlos Herrera live now near the scene in Santa Ana with the details. Carlos, good morning.
Chris, Megan, good morning. After 11 long hours, the suspect is now in custody, ending a long afternoon, a long night, and a long morning of negotiations between the crisis negotiators